Hello and welcome to another episode of the No Huddle Football Podcast. I'm your host, Chris. With me, my co-host, Ryan. What's going on, man?
Howdy, how are you today? Excuse me, I had a cough.
Doing good. It's a rare Friday recording, thanks to Halloween this week. So good
Damn,
though. Good that
damn
it's
kids.
Friday. Well, it's all the kids that come running up to the door on Halloween, despite our lights being out. They do not care around
Nah,
here.
dude. We're ringing that
They
doorbell,
will
man.
Yeah, they will ring the doorbell. They will pound on the door. They'll hang out, scream at the front door, and it was just going to drive the dogs nuts. So here we are on a Friday. Lots happened. It was a big football week this past week. Start off with, I guess it was like Tuesday overnight, I think. The Raiders cleaning house. Finally, I was expecting this to come. I'm glad to see that they finally pulled the trigger. Got rid of Josh McDaniels, got rid of their GM, got rid of the offensive coordinator, and now they have Aiden O'Connell as their starting quarterback, also known as Rod Farva.
Yeah, poor guy.
Uh, do you think that Josh McDaniels gets another shot at a head coaching gig? Even if he goes back, he's going to have to go back down to either offensive coordinator or maybe quarterback coach at this point. Do you see him ever being an NFL coach again?
The only way is if it's like either a desperate team or an expansion team. Like that is it. Like
Yeah.
there's no way. There's no way, dude. So it's like what he had like 2 years, like well, one full season, or the Broncos, and he was like with the Colts for like
Yep.
8 hours, and then and then this he's like about the same time, like a year and some change. Like, dude, outside of like the Patriot way, like in him doing whatever he did there, like he's not a head coach by any means. He's a pretty decent offensive coordinator, quarterback coach for sure. That's it.
Yeah.
That's it.
That's what I'm thinking is like he's another one of those guys. We talked about this I think last week with Todd Bowles.
Mm.
Great defensive coordinator, but just struggles and with the Jets and with the Bucks to be a head coach. And Josh McDaniels just seems the same. He's done good as an offensive coordinator. Granted, he had Brady both times. I'd be interested to see him be a coordinator without Tom Brady to see how he can do.
Mm-hmm.
And it just feels like the Broncos were a disaster whenever he was there. The Raiders have been a disaster. I wouldn't want him. There's so many other people you can choose from. So many other people that are currently out of a job, people that maybe you give a chance to from college, another offensive coordinator. I just think given his resume at this point, if I'm a team owner, I'm not bringing him in. If I'm a GM, I'm not going to bring him in as a head coach because then you got to imagine too the players that are on your team or potential free agents. Does that look like a landing spot then? You know, we got Josh McDaniels there. What has he done the last couple times?
Yeah, that doesn't
Just
really
I don't
inspire
see
any
it.
kind of like, oh, dude, I really want to play for this team. Dude, Josh is here. No way.
Yeah. I mean, expectations were, I think, low for this team this year, especially being in the division that they're in. That's
Mm-hmm.
tough.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know. They seem to do even worse. Like they just look so bad. Like they don't look like they're prepared. They don't look like they know what they're doing out there. I think the only move that I guess I'm a little bit surprised by was them demoting Jimmy G already.
Are you though? Who cares?
Well, like I'm only surprised in the sense of like, why even bring him in to begin with? I
Well,
don't
maybe they
know.
didn't expect him to get
I'm not
hurt.
saying it's the wrong move,
Yeah, yeah.
but
I mean, he got hurt. You don't really expect that, obviously, but he's hurt. Like, pull the trigger now, dude. Like, we got Aiden O'Connell. Like, let's just, he's seen enough at this point. Just put him out there, dude. Like,
yeah.
who cares?
I mean, you got to try something, I guess.
Yeah.
Uh, so I don't know. This franchise has just not been the same ever since they lost the Super Bowl to the Bucks back in 2002. They've been like pretty bad ever since then.
Yeah.
The whole Jamarcus Russell thing. It's weird to me sometimes how some franchises can always be on top. Some go up and down, but then there's these franchises that just cannot figure it out for years and years and years. And I'm like, how are you not even remotely good at all in over 20 years.
I don't know if it's like a culture
You
thing
know?
or the script isn't written in their favor or what, but yeah, I just don't. I don't understand it either.
I just always imagine it's the people at the top just don't know the right people to bring in.
Yeah,
I don't
probably
know. I don't know.
not spending the correct way either. Internally.
Yeah. So staying out west, we have the 49ers who are on a surprising 3 game losing streak. It
Yeah,
was they were red hot. They were, I think, both of our picks to come out of the NFC for the Super Bowl, and now they just seem to be spiraling. What's going on out in San Francisco?
I don't know. It looks like it's impossible for them to score anything over 17 points as well. Um,
Yeah,
I mean they're taking a lot of injuries, but um, you got to put up more than 17. Like that's like with
yeah,
everyone that they have, like they can't figure something out like with that offense. Like yes, I know like key players are down, yes, but like you have other key players.
yeah. They have so many on that offense out there.
So,
It's like after they won that game against the Cowboys and blew them out of the water. I don't know. Was that their Super Bowl this year? Did they just exert all their energy
yeah,
there?
right.
Because I figured the Browns would be a tough game. Browns always have a tough defense these days, but
Mm.
like putting up 17 on the Vikings defense is terrible. How did you only manage 17 there? And then the Bengals defense, they're not bad, but they're not like super good. And you were at home. So how did they only put up 17 again there? I know
Yeah,
a lot of people are pointing at Brock Purdy. They're saying, oh, he's just a system QB. Although I feel like people have been wanting him to fail,
for
which I
sure,
don't get because
for sure.
it's not like he is some scumbag guy that I don't know. I don't see why everyone's been wanting him to fail, but that seems to be the thing.
I think it's because of like I guess like the same mentality that people had, or have with Justin Fields for Trey Lance at the time. They felt like like, this guy's gonna be great, blah 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 blah. And then he just like steps in, and starts winning when Trey Lance is like, well, but he's in the same system, doing the same stuff. So like I don't understand. Like again, I don't understand like I said, like they hate like why if one guy can't do it but one guy can, who cares? Who cares? Like what? Like he's winning games, right? Well, up until recently, who cares?
Yeah, I would. I would get it if like maybe he's done something off the field to make you not like the guy, or if he was like a little too cocky on the field for your taste. But I feel like he's just a regular dude that suits up every game and just goes out there and tries to do his job. And like, I don't know, maybe it's just a jealousy thing that he started off his career, 12-0 or whatever it was, 13, however many games that he started and finished, of course. That's the only thing I can think of. But they're off this week. They got the bye this week, so maybe a chance for them. Maybe it's coming at just the right time for them.
Yeah,
They got the Jaguars next week. So they got to go to Jacksonville. Then they have the Bucks.
yeah.
They usually tend to beat up on us, so maybe maybe that's a get right game for them. A tough game against the Seahawks, a game against the Eagles, and then another tough game against the Seahawks. So schedule is not too much in their favor.
No, it's not. And these losses could also be attributed to teams have tape. Like I don't understand why people don't like understand that translation of like when like a rookie comes out and he's like blowing people out of the water like Baker Mayfield, right? Came out, set the record initially for like touchdown passes by a rookie, even though he only played like a or started like 4 or 5 games into it, and they had all these expectations. But it's like the next year they like teams have tape on you. You're not going to be as good. They figured you out, and like he's not adjusting. That could be it as well. Like
Yeah.
he's finally hit that wall of like resistance of other teams like having no idea what he's doing. Now it's like, okay, well, he does X, Y, and Z here and here and here. Okay, well, let's check into that then. And oh, look, we shut him down. Crazy. So
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that could be it. There's just enough there for them to find any tendencies, anything he does good to try and shut that down, anything he does bad to try and expose it.
mm-hmm.
So maybe they have, but now it's this game of chess. It's his turn and the 49ers turn to say people have adjusted. We've got a bye week. Now let's see if we can change it yet again. And they've got the playmakers there. There's no reason. Hopefully they can get some rest. You have enough playmakers. You can put it in anybody's hands. You should be able to spread out the field and everything. So
Yeah,
I
for
don't
sure.
think they're completely dead in the water yet. I don't think it's panic time. They might have lost their chance at home field advantage throughout. Although they're really only one game off
Well,
because they have 3 losses, and I think the Eagles have two.
they do, but 49ers have only lost to one NFC opponent as well. Two of those losses were to AFC opponents. So as long as they stay on the above the that curve, they should be all right. And it's not a division opponent either, which is also super crucial.
Yeah, that's a good point. So they should be all right. I don't think it's quite time to panic. If they come out of this bye week and they're still losing, then they might have something to worry about. But I still think it's between them and the Eagles.
Oh yeah,
And
still yeah,
you
for
know,
sure.
if you're gonna have a cool off time, this is probably the time of year to do it.
Yeah, yeah, going into your bye.
Yeah, going into a bye in the middle of the week or in the middle of the season, where then they then have enough time to adjust. I don't know what's going on out there. Um,
Dogs being dogs, bro.
anyways, so yeah, they have plenty of time to kind of right the ship now, and then to get hot again going into the postseason. So they should be all right.
Yeah, I agree.
Um,
I don't think it's a time to panic or anything like that. It's just a little slumped, a little slump. They'll be all right.
yeah, exactly. So you're talking about having game tape on a rookie. Sometimes they explode when there is no game tape, and I think we saw that last week with Will Levis
Mm-hmm.
with a 4 touchdown game in his debut, which that was pretty crazy to see.
Yeah.
Did you catch much of that game?
Yeah, thanks to the wonderful world of Red Zone, I got to see that. But yeah, I mean that's exactly what a rookie should do with someone like D Hop as a wide receiver. Just like when in doubt, dude, just launch it to me. Like, I'll find it.
Yep.
It worked out great, obviously. I don't know if I'll be able to do that for a lot of games, but again, it's the whole rookie thing. So now it's on the other teams to start adjusting to the randomness of what they see.
Yeah, it definitely seemed like that was the game plan, which was just launch it up to DeAndre Hopkins and let him do his thing. Let him go high point the ball. And it worked out for him. Although DeAndre Hopkins, I mean, crazy, he had 128 yards and 3 touchdowns, but he did it off 4 catches. So it's not like he was all over the field or anything. I mean, Levis, he went 19 for 29, 238 yards with his 4 touchdowns. It helped that Derrick Henry had I guess, an average night for Derrick Henry, 22 carries and 101 yards. And yeah, they beat up on the Falcons pretty bad. I thought from what I saw of Will Levis too, because I try and look anytime there's a young quarterback, I try and look at their composure when they're in the pocket.
Sure. Yeah.
Do they seem frantic? Are they scrambling? Or like if I didn't know who that was, if I just turned on the game, would I think that that's a rookie quarterback or does that look like a veteran quarterback? And in that game, like he just looked like a veteran quarterback who's maybe been playing for a few years.
I
And I,
think.
I think
Oh, go ahead. Go. Sorry.
I was just gonna say I was glad to see him finally get a chance because I know whenever he got drafted, he slid a little bit further than people thought,
Yeah.
and then he went to a team that already had a quarterback and also had a young quarterback, and he ended up as number 3 on the depth chart. I'm like, well, that's kind of disappointing. I've heard a lot about this guy in college, but this may be another one of those cases where he gets buried on the depth chart, gets cut from the team in 3 years, and we never get to see him play. So I'm glad he got his chance.
Yeah, for sure. I think with the composure thing, I think what helps him is the fact that he's a big ass dude. He's a large man, so it's like he's not going to be like pushed around like a smaller rookie quarterback. And
Yeah.
yeah, man, and he's got a strong arm too, so you can count on that. He can just put it up in the air, he's not going to show, when he panics, he's not going to throw like some like a little dinky pass in the middle of the field that someone can easily pick off. Like He's gonna launch it for his receiver to either catch or bat it down. Like I would rather him do that all day. you know?
Yep. Yeah, he's what you said. He's big guy, 6'4", 230 pounds.
Yeah.
So yeah, he's a big dude.
He's like slightly
So
bigger than me, slightly.
yeah, they played again last night. Did you happen to catch that game last night, Tennessee?
Yeah, what up until well, I guess Nick Folk. So I turned it off right at when Boswell kicked to tie it up 10-10. I'm like, man, this game
Okay.
is awful. I was a little tired, anyways. I exercised way too much. We'll say that.
Yeah.
So I was just so exhausted. So I kind of fell asleep in the middle of like the game and lights on and everything. So when I woke up, I was surprised to see the outcome actually.
Yeah, it was kind of back and forth. It was a game. There was a lot of flags in the game, so I feel like the offenses were struggling to get any rhythm going because there was constant penalties, whether it be on the offense, the defense for holding or pass interference. Like no one could really find the rhythm last night. I watched it. I think for the most part, I watched it all the way through the third quarter. I fell asleep at the start of the fourth quarter for a little bit. I think I missed like the first 5 minutes of the fourth quarter, and then I woke back up and watched the rest of it all the way down to the end. Only because, yes, it was kind of a boring game, but I, for fantasy football reasons, needed to watch that game because I had Deontay Johnson playing. I plugged him in for the first time since he came back from his injury, and I'm glad I did because I was excited to see. It was fantasy football is weird. It had me rooting for the Steelers, and I hate that.
Yeah,
Absolutely hate that. But I was excited for Deontay Johnson to get his first touchdown since 2021 because he had none last year.
Yeah.
So I could tell that they were late in the game. They were trying to get him the ball in the end zone. I'm like, please let this happen. He had a couple of them just bounce right off his chest. I'm like, oh, I don't know if it's going to happen. But thank goodness they got it. Plus, my opponent had DeAndre Hopkins, so I was concerned that he was going to go off again. Glad to see that was last week's game and not this week's game.
There was
goodness.
There was one point in the game. It was sometime in the first half. I might even in the first quarter. I think 2 or 3 linemen got hurt on different plays in succession, and I thought it was a replay. I was like, "Is this the same guy?" Or like, I was like trying to make sure like the TV didn't like skip. I'm like, what the fuck?
They were.
It was wild.
Players.
It was like the same thing. It was crazy.
Which I think that attributed to the slower offensive night because again, you got guys cycling in and out, and they're just not getting in rhythm with each other. But it was a definitely come back down to earth game for Levis. But even in the loss, I mean, the touchdowns weren't there, but his completion percentage was just as good. His yards were a little bit better. Now he had the crucial he had the interception right at the end, but that was kind of like okay, this is the last play. They're going to be passing into the end zone. We're going to drop everyone back and have extra coverage back there. So, yeah, he threw an interception. It was maybe more so the lack of touchdowns that was the problem. Derrick Henry had about an average day again at the office, 17 carries, 75 yards, and a touchdown. So, again, even in this loss, even with the Steelers' defense, which their defensive line was looking particularly good yesterday with T.J. Watt, he still looked for the most part composed. It just there was plays where he just had no time to throw. He'd hike the ball, and in a matter of seconds, he was swarmed by defenders. So I'm definitely interested to see him play again. They play next week, yeah. Well, I am and am not interested to see him play, I guess, because he's going up against the Bucks next week. So
that should be a fun
watching
one.
That game.
That should be a fun one.
Yeah, he's going to have another career day. He's going to go for 6 touchdowns now. So it'll be good though. And we have in not so good quarterback news, Kirk Cousins, Mr. Reliable, out for the season.
Yeah.
Out for probably a year, too. This is one of those injuries that usually is about a year, so it will probably go into maybe upwards of the first 4 games of next year. Also, if I'm not mistaken, I think he signed a 1-year deal with the Vikings this year. Was he? I think he was on the last year of his contract. That's why there was all those trade talks with New York,
Hmm.
because if they weren't going to win with him this year, might as well trade him and get something
Yeah.
back, because you knew they're desperate for a quarterback. And before that could even happen, goes down with the what was it, the tear in his leg, which you could see it on the replay.
Oh
I'm like,
yeah.
that looks almost identical to what happened to Aaron Rodgers.
Hmm.
See his leg goes to plant it, and you can see something inside snap, which is it was rough.
I mean, it's a tendon under tension or a tendon under tension, so it's, yeah, it'll just retract back up into the leg, which is.
Yeah, it was rough looking. Feel bad for the guy. I think a lot of people like myself, we watched the quarterback documentary this year.
Mm.
I don't know if you've seen that on Netflix.
Some of it. I haven't
It
watched it all the
followed.
way. Yeah.
Yeah, I watched maybe 4 or 5 episodes. And I found myself in that show like most people. I don't know what it is. It just made him an even more likable guy. He just seems like an average dude that was just like some standard neighborhood dad who accidentally ended up on a football field one day, and now he's playing football. He just seems like such a regular guy. So I think that's what a lot of people were rooting for him this year. And so it kind of stinks to see him go out like that. Hoping he gets another opportunity. I think he still should get an opportunity somewhere next year. I don't know if Minnesota will bring him back, but I could see other teams that should give him an opportunity. He could be another person. We were talking a few weeks ago about Atlanta needing a quarterback.
Yeah.
Kirk Cousins there with who they have with Drake London and Kyle Pitts and Bijan catching passes. That could be fun to watch there too.
Yeah, I think well, I think the Falcons are going to trade for Justin Fields. Honestly, at this point, I think that's probably going to be their plan. As far as Kirk Cousins, I mean, if I was him, I'm looking. You know, he's the same age as me, 30. You know, well, he just turned 35 in August.
So basically a sports dinosaur.
Exactly. So what I would do is take the old cap, just be hanging that bad boy up, dude. I know because he had a lot of guaranteed contracts. I know he's done well for
Yes.
himself. He's not a bad player by any means. I would just say, hey, dude, I'm done. And if you're feeling better, like not next year, because he said like the first 4 games, they're saying like maybe like the year after, if you think you're good at 37, 38, dude, maybe, you know, like one of those like veteran quarterbacks that comes in and helps the 1 year, you know, like then yeah, maybe. But dude, I think I would.
Just a clipboard holder.
Yeah, man, he's not a bad quarterback by any means. Like he's a good decision maker. And like I said,
Yeah.
and when I gave you the fantasy advice about him last year, you can set your watch to his production. So that's good
Yep.
decision making. I'd say he'd be worthwhile as that. I mean, I'm sure he'd be serviceable to come in a pinch as well, but I wouldn't try to go hard, dude. He's unless he gets Aaron Rodgers as doctor, you know.
Yeah. Right. I I wonder if we would view him as a better quarterback if he was on teams with better defenses. His win loss record isn't great, but like think about the teams that he's been on, and when he was with the Redskins, when they were called the Redskins, and then
Yeah, let's say that.
when now with the Vikings. Like, well, that was their team when he was on it, but the Vikings, like they've never had great defenses. They've always been middle of the pack to like bottom tier,
Mhm.
like in that maybe 14 to 25 range. Imagine if he had a top 10 defense, for a few years, what he could have done. I wonder if we would have just viewed him a little bit differently.
Oh, I think so. I mean, whenever he played for Michigan State, like they had a pretty decent, like high-powered team altogether, and he tore at Michigan. It sucked. I hated to see it. So like I was never like the biggest Kirk Cousins fan, we'll say, like coming out of college, but the dude's good. Like he's held up, but that's a lot to come back for. Me and him are he's at 6'3", just like me. He's in the shape I probably should be at 205, and he's only a few months older than me. I would hang it up, dude. I know how I feel every day.
Hear those knees clicking, the back
no
pain. And he's been taking hits from linemen for all these years.
Yeah,
too.
dude. Sorry, Kirk, man.
So we're talking about Kurt potentially being traded. Obviously, that didn't happen. We just passed the trade deadline. Is there any trades that stand out to you? Any that surprised you? Any that you think a team is really going to benefit from?
Yeah, let me. Montez
I
Sweat
feel
to
like we had some.
Chicago was pretty significant. So like whenever I saw that, I'm thinking, the Commanders are just cleaning up. They're just like if you get rid of Montez Sweat right off the bat, dude, like that's a dude like you drafted to like build around on your defense at one point.
Yeah,
Like it was supposed to be him and the
not
other
that many
guy you
years ago.
traded, Chase Young.
Yeah.
That immediately I was like, well, they're done. They're cutting it up, selling it, all of it. They're trying to read and do all this. That which is interesting because I wonder if that means the head coach is next.
Yeah.
Nah, I mean, but yeah,
Yeah. I
definitely
wonder,
those, definitely
could it
those.
be paving the way then for Eric Bieniemy to Bieniemy, is that how you say his name? To take
Be
over?
enemy, yeah, that
The
yeah.
enemy. There we go.
Honestly, that would be, that would be the best thing because then they could draft players to the way he coaches. It's probably similar to how the Chiefs are built, and
Yeah.
maybe be successful. I know that team's like kind of cursed, but you know,
Well, they've got new owners now.
yeah. Well,
New owners finally. So
it's
I thought them trading those two players away was interesting just because it's like they were young players. And like you said, they're supposed to be the foundation of the defense. You traded them away. Yes, you got some high draft picks. And what are you going to do with those draft picks? Now you have a hole in those spots. So you're going to try to draft some young defensive players that could be the foundation of your team because you already had that. So I didn't quite get the move. Like I get it when it's a veteran in their last year and you're going to trade it to a team that is trying to get over the top to um for a Super Bowl. Kind of reminds me of when the Raiders they traded away Khalil Mack,
oh,
and then they had like no pass rusher. And John Gruden in an interview, he's like, "Man, it's really hard to find a good pass rusher in this league." Like what? That's what he's talking about, like the lack of sacks on his team. Like you had one and traded him away.
yeah,
Why? You got a guy in the early to prime part of his career. Why did you just trade him away?
yeah, a Hall of Fame caliber player. Yeah, we don't need him. We need someone like you though.
Yeah. Yes, we need someone exactly like you. So we're going to trade away and hope that with the draft pick that we get someone that's just like you. There's nothing wrong with you, but we're hoping to get another guy just like you. In our long history of missing on draft picks. So I think for me, that one was, I mean, those were obviously the big names. This year didn't have the big names that I think some of the past years have had.
Yeah,
This was a relatively quiet year.
for sure.
I think the one that surprised me a little bit was Josh Dobbs.
Yeah, I was
Going
just looking at
to
that.
Minnesota.
Yep.
Like, what I think I don't understand it from, I don't know. It makes me think that the Cardinals this whole time, like, their whole plan on bringing him in was to just use him as a rental and then use him as trade bait. Hopefully, he does just good enough. Some team out there is going to be quarterback needy, and we're going to trade him away at that point. We're not going to win this year anyway, so whatever. We're going to take a veteran quarterback, plug him in, and trade him away later. And that's exactly what they did. So smart on their part.
I mean,
For the Vikings, I don't understand it. I still think if I'm the Vikings, go sign Colt McCoy and give up nothing. Why not sign him as a free agent and give up literally nothing for him?
that's why we're sitting in these rooms and not in some office. And
Yeah. I mean, it's no knock on Josh Dobbs. I'm not saying he's a bad player, but I think him and Colt McCoy are on a similar level. Unless there's something wrong with Colt McCoy that I don't know. Like I don't know if he's like super injured or whatever, and that's why the Cardinals cut him. Although he was in line to be their starter. But
I,
that's where I would go. It's a lost season for the Vikings. They're not going to win anything this year. Probably going to miss the playoffs. You just need a quarterback. Go get a veteran one like Colt McCoy, sign him, give up 0 draft picks. That's just me, though.
maybe so for just it also is could be beneficial for Josh Dobbs because he's like now he was guaranteed playing time, starting time, so now he was able to showcase his skills for a team now that is desperately in need. That's going to be behind or sharing time with a rookie quarterback, so he could easily take over. So he could probably find his way to the starting position in no time with the failing Minnesota Vikings, obviously. But it looks good on his resume. We're not, losing doesn't obviously,
I mean,
but
good
like
for
the
him.
play time does. So like I can see the benefit of that. Um, but they also they signed a quarterback as well too. So it's like but I don't understand that. But I think as far as
Doesn't
like
make sense.
when it comes to Colt McCoy, like maybe they're worried about game shape. Like they can guarantee that Josh Dobbs is in game shape, but Colt McCoy very well may not be in game shape. He could be chilling. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that was about the only thing I could think of that would justify that.
Yeah.
But like,
He's probably like on the beach and he's like, I'll call you back.
yeah, no thanks. Or maybe who knows? Yeah, maybe they called and he's just like, nah, I'm good. You know, and I'm enjoying retired life right now.
Yeah. I'm sure he's packed away a couple
So
bucks.
yeah, you know, I always think of it comes to Colt McCoy. Him and Sam Bradford kind of came into the league together. Such big college quarterbacks, and like looking back at either of their careers, it was very disappointing for both of them.
I mean, yeah, they just in college. Obviously Sam Bradford coming out of college was like a big deal because he won a Heisman and all that shit. And Colt McCoy, like,
Yep.
was on stacked Texas teams and all this, but again, it's like you have to roll. Like, how often? What is the ratio of college quarterbacks coming into the NFL and being absolute studs every single time? It's like they just happen to be those dudes that are just there, serve other
Yeah.
purposes. It sucks.
Yep.
And I think for Colt McCoy, he just went, he went to the Browns. That's coming from a Browns fan. Thank you. Sorry,
Yeah.
bud.
That kind of derailed the whole
Yeah,
thing.
I'm gonna take your soul and add it to the jersey.
Yep. Were there any names that didn't get traded that surprised you? I sent you the list of names that were rumored to be on the move. There was the potential for this year to be another big year because I know there was some people on there that I thought might be traded that ended up not being traded. Any names in particular that stand out to you?
So okay, yeah. Well, Devontae Adams, I figured they would try to get rid of him, because he's like a Josh McDaniels guy. You know what I'm saying? So I figured they would like try to get some stock out of him because he is still a very good player. Like I would have traded for him. I would try to get draft capital of that. If I'm shutting down shop essentially, like like is it going to make Aiden O'Connell that much better? Is it going to make him look that good? And then you're going to strip that shit away from him probably at the end of the year. Like then like,
Yeah.
he's not going to have that safety net anymore. Like get rid of him. Get rid of Josh Jacobs. Get rid of him. And, you know, um,
Yep.
I didn't think Saquon or Derrick Henry, Jerry Judy probably should. I thought it would have been traded. That would probably been one. Really, again, Patrick Surtain and Courtland Sutton, like all the Broncos people, everyone. Like I said last episode, get rid of them all.
Fire sale.
D Hop. I mean, I think with I can't think of his name right now. Revis, whatever the hell.
Will Levis.
Levis. Jesus, my bad, Will. I think with him popping off, I think he really helped out D Hop on just staying around. Like, hang on now.
Hold on, things might be looking up.
Hunter Renfro. Yeah, they probably should have traded him too. Jacoby Brissett. Man.
Yeah. I think for me, I thought Derrick Henry might be on the move.
Yeah.
As a 1-year rental for some players because the Titans are definitely trending downwards. Their window has closed. And there could be some teams that could be running back away. We always bring up the Bills these days because if you imagine Derrick Henry with Josh Allen in the backfield, and then you can also hit Stephon Diggs or Gabe Davis or now who's the Dalton Kincaid.
Well,
That would be good. You always got to talk about the Chiefs because they never have a great running back. If they could just have him as a 1-year rental to where they didn't have to commit long term, because they can't, not with Patrick Mahomes' contract and Travis Kelce, but just as a 1-year rental, give up some draft picks or a draft, mid-round something to go win another Super Bowl this year. Could you imagine Derrick Henry with Travis Kelce and Patrick Mahomes? It would be insane.
Yeah, I mean, it's always nice in theory, but I think other than money, like ego comes into play, and I think people like GMs and coaches think about that. Like, all right, if we trade for this guy, he's gonna like want the ball, X amount of times. Like, can we really afford that in this offense with his play style? Kind of deal.
Yeah.
So it's like Derrick Henry's not really spread offense kind of running back, you know. like,
Hey, but then he could run the ball in some 5-man boxes instead of 8 and 9-man boxes.
yeah, but I don't know. Maybe that. I mean, again, it just maybe not be his play style. He like that might not be his thing. Who knows?
Yeah,
It's
that's true. I mean, they always got to consider that.
it's you said the Bills. They I just saw when I was scrolling through the transaction wire here. They signed old Lenny Fournette. Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah. Did you see the picture of him at practice?
I know I didn't.
I think his calves are bigger than my head right now.
Yeah.
Like
Just straight
he
calf
has not
raises all
been.
day.
Yes, it's insane how big his calves are right now. I was glad to see that the Bucks did not get rid of Mike Evans. I was worried that they might. I'm holding on to this hope that somehow they're going to re-sign him this year. That they're going to figure something out. They're going to move some things around and keep him. He's one of those players. I really wish he would just stay a Bucks player for his entire career. I know that's so hard to do nowadays,
I know he wants to.
but
I know it's the
yeah,
plan. I just what I think that they're doing is I think they're seeing how the season goes. If they're in a
yeah,
losing way, just let them go. You know. But if they're in a winning
yeah,
way, like, hey, we have a salvageable team here. It looks like with the dysfunction that we have, like we can keep Mike here. Maybe he'll be generous enough to give us a favorable contract or reschedule at a later time, and we can guarantee that kind of rescheduling. Maybe that will help us later. But
yeah.
I think they should have signed him at the beginning of the season. Honestly, I would have locked him up. Like,
I
bro,
think they were.
you've done nothing but put us like in the winning
Yeah.
spot, despite even
Well,
Jameis.
I think they were trying to. I think the money just wasn't there right now. And it's just a little bit, it's something that you see with the Rams right now too. The Bucks were loading up for a Super Bowl, and so now you kind of have to deal with the fallout of that for a couple years. That seems to be the way some teams are going nowadays, with the exception of maybe the Chiefs. People are trying to load up and stack a team and like, because what do you want to be really good for 10 years and maybe make it to a Super Bowl or a few conference championships but never win? Or do you want to just load up, win your one Super Bowl, and then you have to go back to being bad? I'd rather them just win a Super Bowl because I think that'd be frustrating. Like for me, being a Bucks fan in the '90s, whenever they were getting good, it was frustrating seeing them get close every single year, but couldn't get over the top. So it was so awesome to see them finally win, although it cost them. They were terrible for the next 20 years, but whatever, that's fine. We at least have 2 Super Bowls now.
Yeah, I mean, as of right now, like as a Browns fan, I would like just the one right now. That'd be very nice. Um,
Yep.
but at the same time, I would like me personally. I always like doing things like the hard way. Anyhow, so like I would
Yeah.
honor wise, I would like to earn it as you're supposed to, like building the team, grinding it out, finally achieving, and then retiring and going into the sunset kind of deal. I mean, that's ultimately, I think, the most satisfactory way, but I don't think players nowadays give a shit about that. I just think they
No.
want that ring, even like they want to put all their effort into 1 year and then fucking sandbag for the remainder of their contract and then fucking ride it out. I get that too. It's painful. I get that sport's
Yeah.
painful, but like as a fan, it's a bummer to see like that's how it has to be. It's like you make that sacrifice of all the chips in. It's like, all right, basically when this kickoff happens in the Super Bowl, it's a flip of the coin. Oh my god.
Yeah. So, kind of speaking of that, I definitely feel like of the Bucks' 2 Super Bowl victories, the first one was more satisfying
Oh
by a
yeah,
long
I know.
shot.
Yeah, I
Be-
know. For the entire city,
be-
it was.
because of all the build, and I don't think it was necessarily because it was the first one. Like I'm even thinking, switching over real quick to hockey, the whenever the Lightning won recently in back-to-back years. The first one was definitely more satisfying because it was like we've been building towards it for years and we've getting gradually better and then some setback, and but you're trending upwards and you finally make it over the top. That is definitely more satisfying, but like you said, just in today's NFL, we don't see that as much. It's everyone go load up on this team over here, try and win your Super Bowl. Hopefully that night is your night, and then the team is devastated. Like they're just like you look at the Rams, I think are the prime example. They went all in on 1 year trading for Stafford, bringing in Von Miller. Like they went all in and they won their Super Bowl.
Mm-hmm.
And now they're going to be bad for a while,
Yep.
a long while.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. I just, and that's what if the Browns overdo it, like that's the part I don't want is the hangover portion of it because like I watched the Bucks happen with the Bucks. It's like with Dexter Jackson is like the first one gone, and like all these other people were just
yeah,
they're stripped of it. But yeah, again, the win was satisfying. Not even just a win, but just to decimate the Raiders
yes,
was awesome.
yeah. I did not want it to be close. I was like, you know what,
Yeah.
a close game. If you can win on the last play is like super exciting. I don't even want to risk it. Just blow them out of the water. I don't want anyone to take anything away and be like, oh, well, they only won by one touchdown, but there was that one play that the refs did this or that. No, blow them out of the water. It's going to
Convincing.
be boring to everyone else, but I'm going to love every second of it.
I mean, even like Derek Brooks' like interception at the very end, you're like, "Yep, come on, take it in, take it in."
Yep. Let's keep going. Keep it going. So we're going to wrap things up with our two locks in an upset. You got to see if you can make it 2 weeks in a row picking an upset. Who do you have for us this week for two locks in an upset?
See, I thought about this one a lot, and that's why I'm having a hard time because I was like looking at this earlier this morning.
Yeah.
Yeah, the other one came so naturally to me. Let me again. You go first. I'm gonna have to have you go first.
Okay. So for my first lock of the week, I'm going back to the team that let me down. I picked them as an upset last week and they did not pull through, but I'm going to pick them again. But as a lock this week, I'm going to take the Browns at home over the Cardinals.
Yeah, that's a good
I
one.
mean, that you got to win that game. The Cardinals, they're bad. I don't know. They have that one surprise win against the Cowboys, but that's the Cowboys. As far as my other lock, I got to see who's favored here. There's some actual good matchups. You got Cowboys, Eagles. You got Bills,
Yeah,
Bengals.
yeah.
You've got some pretty even games this week. So let me see who all is favored. I'll go ahead and I will take. Give me the Ravens over the Seahawks. I think the Seahawks are usually pretty good at home, but not always the best on the road.
Yeah.
So I will take the Ravens over the Seahawks. And then for my upset of the week, I am going to pick the Jets over the Chargers because apparently the Jets are 3.5 point underdogs at home. So I'm going to go ahead and take the Jets because the Chargers sometimes seem to find ways to lose games that they shouldn't.
That's a
So
good point.
there you go.
That's a good one.
I'm going to go ahead and take the Jets because it should be the Chargers by a landslide, but maybe the Jets pull it off. They've got a little momentum right now.
So I would also have to start off and say Browns over Cardinals. That would just be dumb not to pick that one. That's an easy point for us or for me right there.
Yep.
The next lock. What did I think? I'm gonna say Texans over the Bucks.
Damn you.
Sorry.
Yeah. Feel good about CJ Stroud.
It's not that
Going
I
to
feel
town on
good.
the
It's
Bucks
not that I feel
defense.
good about it. I just think that they're just a very volatile team right now, and I think that the Texans are more locked in than the Bucks, at least as far as the quarterback position.
Yeah.
You right over there, guy? So
Yeah, there's people walking by. There are people that walk around every day, and they like we're stopping and like looking at the house.
fans of
Like,
the
what are you
podcast, I
doing
guess.
right now? Like,
Nice.
move
Already
along.
got the fans. Nice. And I'll
Yeah.
say my upset. I'm gonna say, and you're gonna hate to hear this one as well. Well, I mean, I think this game you hate anyways. I'm gonna say them boys over the Eagles.
Yeah.
Yep.
They're gonna go into Philadelphia and pull the
And
upset
it's gonna
there.
be so annoying because you're gonna hear "we them boys," and it's just
Yeah.
yeah. It's just how I feel. How I feel. I mean,
Okay.
taking a little
Okay.
gamble on this
Hey,
one.
I yeah. I can't hate it. I can't go against it. You nailed it last week. We'll see if you make it 2 weeks in a row.
Yeah, we'll see.
We'll see. All right. Well, that wraps it up for us for this week. Another week of the No Huddle Football Podcast. Before we head out, do you have any final thoughts to send us out on?
No, I hope it's a good weekend of football, both college and NFL. Free Jim Harbaugh in Michigan. This is stupid. It's a witch hunt, and I can't stand it. And that's about it.
Yep.
Yep.
All right. There you have it. Free Jim Harbaugh and in the witch hunt. All right. We will see you guys next week.